Good morning, everyone. I'm sharing the screen. So today I'll discuss with. So we already started OOPS concept, right? And the OOPS in the last session we done the discussion with class and objects, right? Live low. Okay. Today we'll discuss about the types of variables. Types of variables. Okay. This is our topic. Okay. Normally you guys aware of what is variable. Okay. Variable is the container which is used to store the data, right? Which is used to store the data. Variable is the container which is used to store the data. Normally, how will you store the data? Store the data like data type. Data type which is used to specify the type of data. Okay. Int a equal to some number 100, and then we have the, like, if you want to store the string data, then you can mention with the string b equal to some string value, Are you guys clear with my point? Okay. So this is the basic meaning of the variable. So this basic meaning and we seen in the classification, okay, where you have the classification. The classification is the types of variables, right? The first thing is instance variables. Okay. The second thing is static variables. Okay. The second thing is static variables. Okay. The third thing is local variables. Are you guys clear with my point? The third point is local variable. Okay, we'll go with one by one, then we'll get the clarity on it. First one is the instance variables. Okay, we'll discuss one by one, then we'll get the clarity on it. Okay. First one is the instance variables. వస్తున్నా వస్తున్నా చూడు త్వరగా అంటే వస్తున్నా బ్రేక్ అవుతున్నా. Okay, instance variables meaning the variables the variables which are declared inside the class and outside the method, inside the class and outside the method is called instance variables. It's called instance variables. Okay, it's called instance variables. Are you guys clear with my point? Okay, second point is instance variables. Second point is instance variables. We can access all the methods, all the methods inside the class, all the methods inside the class. That's why that's why instance variables are called are called global variables. Are called global variables. Are you guys clear with the point? Next, the third point. Initialization of instance variable. Third point. Initialization of instance variable is mandatory or optional? Initialization of instance variable. Initialization of instance variable is optional. Are you guys clear with my point? So next point is object. Instance variables are also called as instance variables. Instance variables are also called as object level variables. Object level variables. Why we are calling object level variables? Because the variable will allocate the memory when we create the object. Are you guys clear with my point? Once we create the JVM will allocate the memory. The JVM will allocate memory for the instance variables. Memory for the instance variables at the time of object creation only. Okay. So once we create the object, then immediately the JVM will allocate the instance variables. The JVM will allocate the instance variables. Okay. So we can access the instance variables. We can access the instance variables. We can access the instance variables by using objects. By using objects. Okay, are you guys clear with my pointer? So is there any syntax for the instance variables? As we have the syntax. So the first one is we can take the demo, and from here to here this is the scope of the class. And where so here if you see the first line, instance variables meaning the variables which are declared inside the class and outside the method, right? This is the scope of the class, and here normally as of now we done the programs with the public static void main, and this is the one type of method, right? So string and hours, and I would say this is the scope of this one, right? So as of now we done the programs like we done conditional statements, looping statements, arithmetic operators. These are the operators. So all the assignments we done inside the main method only. Inside the main method only. So before oops, we done all the programs inside the main method only. But now onwards, we are using instance variables also. What does it mean? Instance variables? Instance variables basically the variables which are declared inside the class and outside the method is called instance variables. Okay? So this is the main method, right? This is the main method, right? So if I declaring like for example int a equal to 10, then what does it mean? This is the instance variables. Which variables are declared inside the class and outside the method? That variables are called instance variables. That variables are called instance variables. Sorry, just leave with my point. వస్తున్నా బానే బానే వస్తుంది. అంటే వాయిస్ ఎలా వస్తుంది? నాకు ఎలా పడుతుంది? మామూలు బయటికి పెట్టు, అప్లోడ్ డిస్టెన్స్ చేసి. Okay, this is clear. Here we can remember the very important point is most of them are confusing here. Every object will maintain copy of the instance variables. Okay, every object will maintain copy of the instance variables. Copy of the instance variables. Copy of the instance variables. Okay, this is very important. Why? Because most of them are confusing, like how to access the static variables and how to access the instance variables and how to access them. అప్పుడప్పుడు బాగానే వస్తుంది, అప్పుడప్పుడు కట్ అవుతుంది. Okay, every object will maintain copy of the instance variables. Okay, now if you see, this is the main method and this is the scope of the class, and whatever the variables we have declared inside the class and outside the method, those variables are called instance variables. Okay, this is clear, guys. So we'll try to see one by one. This is clear, like the variables which are declared, so we are declaring inside the class and outside the method. This is clear. So next one is the instance variables. You can access all the methods. All the methods meaning this is the main method, right? You can access this instance variable. You can access inside the main method also. Not only main method. If you take some other custom methods also, you can reuse this method. This instance variables you can reuse anywhere. Okay, that is the thing. Third point is Initialization of instance variable is the optional. Here I'm initialized, right? So this is mandatory. No, this is optional. Okay, you can write like this. So those variables which are present inside the class and outside the method, those are called inside instance variables. Initialization is optional. Initialization is optional. Okay. Next thing is level variables. Why I am telling object level variables meaning every object will maintain copy of the instance variables. For example, this is the class, right? In the last session, we're done with the class and object. For example, if I create, so how will you create demo? Okay, from here to here, is the, and this one I'm storing in some reference variable d, and this data type is the demo. And so for one class, you can create number of objects. This is the one object, and if I take this one, this is the demo two. And here what I'm saying is every object will maintain a copy of the instance variables, right? For example, here I'm taking some Ramu, okay? I'm taking string Ramu. I'm declaring this one here, and then I'm initializing here the names. How can I initialize d1 dot d1 dot? I would say Ramu. Here we can mention with the name, okay? Name, and here I'm calling it name, okay? Equal to if I initialize like this here also like Ramu. Okay. Normally this is the way. Like for one object will maintain copy of the instance variables. So don't confuse this one. So this one based on this I will write the program on the instance variables. You know we'll get the clarity on it. Okay. Simply I am going opening any file. And then this is the demo.java, right? So simply I am using set the same file. I'm using the same file. Now if you see we are discussing about instance variables, right? So the first thing is the instance variables meaning the variables which are declared inside the class and outside the method. So initialization is optional. So I would like to take a string, okay, string name and then int id, okay. Done. These two variables are called instance variables. These two variables are called instance variables, okay. Next thing is now what I am saying is every object will maintain the copy of the instance variables. Okay, new demo and demo, and here I am mentioning the names is d1, and then for one class you can create number of objects. There is no restrictions. Okay, you can create. So in my case, I am creating 3 objects for understanding purpose. I am reading the name with 2 and then 3 and then 3. Okay. So here what I am saying is you can access these methods anywhere, right? Okay. Now simply I am coming here and here one more point also. This is optional, right? If you forgot to initialize, then what will happen? We'll see. For example, d1 dot name. Okay, d1 dot name. D1 dot uh, name. I am taking the name. Okay, this is the name. So we'll try with first one. Then d1 dot d1 dot name. Okay. So this one we can mention in sysout statement. Sysout statements. I'm mentioning like this. Are you guys clear with my point? I'm saving this one and then I'm running this one. Now if you see what will get, you are getting the null values. And in case of ID also, you are getting, so that's why null points are very, I would say, default values. We are done the discussion with in the data type side. So some the default values is not initialize any value, the default values. So that is the one more point I will write here. if you not initialize, if you not initialize, if you not initialize the instance variables, then the JVM will by default JVM will provide JVM will provide default values. The JVM will provide default values. Are you guys clear with my point? This is the point you should remember here. And the same thing for the ID also. For example, the same statement I am copying here from here to here, and then what I'm doing, I'm coming here, I'm pasting here, and here I'm insert int ID. I'm saving this one, and then zero and null. So I will what will happen the internally process I will explain to the notepad and so most of them are confusing this area like how to access static variables, how to access the instance variables. So this is the very important, right? So must print oh okay. Okay. This is clear. So you can access like this. So I can explain through the MS Paint. Normally in general what will happen basically already you guys aware of JVM architecture, right? We can assume this is the JVM architecture. In the JVM architecture, we have the memory management. That is the heap memory, right? This is the heap memory. And then where we write the programs are like this. For example, once you create the object, this is the object. For example, if you create the object new demo and then D equal to, okay, I will say demo. Okay, then what will happen? Whenever you are creating this operator, this object got created here itself. Okay, this is the heap memory, right? This is the heap memory. This is the heap memory. This one is heap memory. Okay, the object got created inside like this. Inside like this. This is the object of D, new demo. Okay, D is the reference variable. Guys, don't confuse. D is the reference variable. This is the reference variable. Okay. This is the reference variable, and the object got created inside here. And then every this is the object, right? Demo object. Every demo object will maintain copy of the instance variables. Okay, copy of the instance variables. So in my case, this is the this is the object. This object will maintain copy of the instance variables. So in my demo class, we have the two. One is the name, and second one is the inter. If you not initialize, then the JVM will provide by default the values. If you want to initialize, you can initialize by using the object. By using the object only. Okay. For example, if I want to initialize, if I initialize the values will be stored like this. So how can I store the values? D dot name equal to some name I will mention here. Okay, I'm initializing the instance variables by using the object, and then int ID equal to 101 something. Are you guys clear with my point? If you not initialize, the JVM will provide by default values. Okay, the same thing I will show you in the programmatically. Now it is returning by default values, right? Now instead of printing the by default values, I'm initializing some values. D1 dot some name equal to here I would like to pass some name. The name is Krishna and then and in the similarly D1 also D1 dot ID equal to Some idea I'm mentioning. Okay, some idea I'm mentioning. Are you guys clear with my point? If I save this one and if I run this one, and you will get the result. Which result you will get? This is the result you will get. Now you are getting the variables. This is all about instance variables. Are you guys clear with my point? So all of you read these statements. What is the first statement? Next is instance variables you can access. Mm. Mm. Next is next is next is next is next is next is in these statements, anyone in these sentences about the sentences, anyone have any questions? In these sentences, anyone have any questions? Variables are very, 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 very important. Now, if you see what I am doing, so every object will maintain instance variable. Now, see what I am doing. I am creating one more object. Simply I am copying this one, and then simply I am coming here and I am pasting here. Yeah, here I am mentioning D2, and then now this object will maintain same copy. This object will maintain one copy. This object will maintain one copy. Now I am mentioning the different names. Name equal to name equal to. I am initializing with some other name, like I would say some Madhu. Are you guys clear with my point? This copy is the different. This is the copy of this object, and this is the copy of the this object. This is the copy of the this object. Okay, same d2 dot next id equal to, here I am mentioning some number, that is 200. I am mentioning some 200 number. Okay. Now the same statement I am copying from here, and then I am paste here, and then I am saving this one, and then if I run the file, if you see what you will get the result. Java application. If you see, you are getting you are calling d2 dot d2 dot n2 and d2 dot id, and then you can save the file, and then you can run the file. Now if you see what the result you will get, run as the application, and then this is the thing. Okay, so every object will maintain copy of the instance variable. Copy of the instance variable. Okay. Okay, this is all about instance variables, guys. This is the examples of the instance variables, and where you have the static variables, we'll discuss about the static variables. We'll discuss about the static variables. Basically, the first thing is, guys, the variables which are declared, the variables which are declared inside the class, which are declared inside the class and inside the class and outside the method with the static keyword. With outside the method with the static keyword. With the static keyword. With the static keyword. Okay. Next thing is memory allocation. Allocation. When the class code into when the class code class load into the JVM load into the JVM immediately JVM will allocate the memory for the static variable immediately. It will allocate. It will allocate. I would say it will allocate memory for the instance variable. Memory for the static variables. Static variables. This is clear, guys. Basically, the JVM, or can assume
Very close friend. For example, in your home, you are doing some function, right? So you are inviting two friends. One friend is your close friend, and other person is your friend but not close. So you invited both friends to your function. Okay, so they are also come. And then how will you treat your special friend and how will you treat your normal friend? So will you provide focus, special focus on the special friend, right? Very close friend, like you are allocating some room and you are giving some food. So are you guys clear with the point? So, similarly, JVM also have the friends. Those are the instance variables and static variables. Static variables are very close friends. Okay, static variables are very close friends. At the time of class load only, it will allocate the memory. But in case of local variables, that is instance variables, those are not like that. And at the time of object creation only, it will allocate the memory. But this is not like this. Static variables, JVM has two friends. One is the instance variables, second one is the static variables, and the static variables are very close friends. So that's why immediately it will give the memory. Immediately it will give the memory to the static variables. So that's why when the class is loaded into the JVM, it will allocate the memory instance variables immediately. Immediately. Okay. But in case of this one, object, we need to create the object at the time only you will can accept the instance variables. Next thing here it is static variables are also called as static. You can access the static variables. You can access static variables. You can access the static variables by using class name. By using class name, right? Okay. One more important point here it is. So I will show you syntax and then one more point I will discuss. The syntax is normally this is the public class, right? Public. The class is the keyword and I am mentioning the demo and this is the scope of the demo. And here normally we write the public, the main method, public static, I would say void main, and then here we need to mention the string. Okay. This is the main method, right? Okay, this is clear. As of now, is clear. Now, what I'm saying is the variables, the first line meaning the variable which are declared inside the method and outside the. So, with that, which are this is the scope of the class, and then here I mentioned some the same thing with the static keyword. You have to mention static keyword, and then you have to mention name, some institute name. I mentioned some institute name. Here, one more important point is we have two variables, right? One is the instance variable, second one is the static variable. When will you go for the instance variables? When will you go for the static variable? That is the regular question. So for that question here, you can remember one point is for every object, will maintain same copy of the static variables. Same copy of the static variables. Why? Because I will show you variables. Okay. Why? Because for example, here I am taking like this. For example, some string name. Okay, string name, and then next thing is int id. Int id. Okay, are you guys clear with my point? These are the three variables. These two are instance variables. This is the static variable. This is the static variable. Okay, this is the static variable. Okay, fine. Now, I would like to write some student information. Like some students are studying in some institute, so I want to write the program on those student details. Okay. Like for example, without taking the static variables also I can write like this. How can I write? So for example, if I not mention the static, so this is the instance variables. Okay, this is the instance variables. Now we are discussing about the instance variables only. Okay. Now these are the three instance variables. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating the object demo, and this object I'm storing in some reference variable. Okay, D I am mentioning D1, and then this class type is a demo. This is clear, right? Now if you see here, I'm not initializing. I am initializing here. Okay, initializing. So simply you can mention some question, and next thing is int id d1 dot id equal to some 200, and then next third one is d1 dot institute, okay, equal to I would like to mention some size. Okay, are you guys clear with my point? Okay, this is the uh, this is the about one object, uh, one object instance variable, copy of the instance variables, right? So this is the one student information. If I want to take the few more student details, this is the student number one. Here I am taking the Krishna. In case of Krishna, I am taking the Madhu. Madhu is the one student, and then here the Madhu roll number is the 201, and Madhu should also same. Okay, fine. In the similar way, I need to take the third person. Third person name is the Raju. Okay, and then the third person name is 203, and then the third person is also studying in such. Are you guys clear with my point? Huh? Hmm? No, I have to change all the times numbers. D2, D2, D2. Okay, here D3, 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 D3. Now, if you see, guys, if you observe here, these are the student information, and every student having the common name is the institute name, right? If I write like this is also you can execute the program. This is also will work, and this is also I will say you can get the result. But this is the not recommended way. Why? Because so this is the common name for all the students. This is the common for all the students. If I write like this, then you can assume like there the 50 students will be there. If I write like this, then what might be the issue? You will get increase the lines of code, and it will be increase the lines of code, and it will acquire some memory also. So that's why whatever the common content will be there. So if you write like this, that is also work, but that is the not recommended way. That is not recommended way. Whatever the common name, so all the students' common name is the institute name is such, right? That common name the common name you can mention with static. Are you guys clear with my point? So that's why what I am saying is, so instead of this one, directly you can mention this one. So no need to mention every time. So that's why every object will maintain same copy of the instance variable, same copy of the static variable. So that is the point. For every object will maintain same copy of the static variable, same copy of the static variable. This is the recommended approach. Whatever the common content we have the students or any data is the common content, then we can mention with static here. Then we can mention with static. Are you guys clear with my point? So for the static variables, I will write some program on it, and we'll get that some clarity on it. Here I'm taking some static string institute name, institute, institute. I'm making subsection. So the common content I'm initializing here, and directly I'm calling here. Okay. Directly. So access those static variables. We can access the static variables by using the class names, right? We can access the static variables by using the class names. For demo, demo dot institute name, right? So this is the approach. Okay, we can call this one and we can access this one. This is the recommended approach. Okay. Guys, any questions on these two areas? Static variables and instance variables. So this is the recommended approach. Like you can copy this one and then you can go to for every student and then you can copy controllers and then you can but this one- this is the recommended approach. Okay, don't confuse. Some of them are confusing, but don't confuse. Okay, this is clear as a first. So next thing is order that is the variables which are declared, the variables which are declared inside inside the method is inside the method is called local variable. Local variables are temporary variables. I'll show you why we are calling temporary variables. Temporary variables. And then this is one point, and the third point is before using the before before using the local variables, before using the local variables, we have to initialize before using the local variables. We have to we have to initialize the local variables. We have to initialize the local variables. Okay. Normally, I will write the syntax and so that we can try to understand the syntax. Okay. Normally, you know the scope of the class, right? At least the class, I would say, this is the demo. Then this is the scope of the class. Okay. Here we have the main method. So as of now, we done the programs like operators and then conditional statements and looping statements. All are the inside the main method, right? So those all are concerned local variables. Local variables. Will be a equal to sometimes sometimes these all are local variables. These all are local variables. B equal to something and then it's what I'm doing and then addition operation into some equal to some 10 plus 20 10 plus Okay, whatever the programs we done, the before the structure, all are concerned with the local variables. What I'm saying here it is the variables which are declared inside the method, then you can say why I'm saying the local variables are basically the important point at the time of methods execution method execution. Once the execution is completed, one once the method execution completed, method execution completed, method PM will remove the local variables automatically. Will remove the local variables automatically. So that's why so that's why local variables are called temporary variables. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys got the clarity? Temporary variables. I will say they will allocate the memory at the time of once the vehicle execution is completed, then they will automatically remove the local variables from the memory. It will allocate the memory only at the time of method execution. Once the method execution is completed, then the JVM will remove the automatically. The JVM will remove the automatically local variables from the memory. Local variables from the memory. So these are the points you should remember. Like other for whatever the programs we done. So all the programs are comes under the local variables. Okay? Like the operators, conditional statements. Okay, these are all comes under this one. Okay? Are you guys clear with my point? In this area, anyone have any questions? For example, if you see here, if I take any other method like void, so the methods function is not done it right. So that's why I'm not taking the methods. Okay, as of now, here you can take this is the instance variables. So how will you local variables? How will you take int a equal to the same thing equal to some number 10 and then int b equal to some number 20 and then I am doing int sum equal to a plus b into sum equal to a plus b, right? And then here sys out statement, and then I am mentioning sum. Uh, Here what I am doing, local variable initializing. This is called local variable initialization. Um, Local variable initialization. Okay, and here what we are doing, local variable calling. Okay, fine. Next here what this is instance variable declaring. Instance variable declaring. Okay, and this is the static variable initializing. Static variable initializing. Okay, this is all about three types of variables.
instance variables, static variables, and local variables. So here we need to remember how the management is going on. Okay. So all of you read these points about the static variables and local variables. Use come on. What is the main the first purpose of the static variable? Second point. Mm. Next is mm. Next is what does it mean? Block is nothing but scope of starting of the curly braces and exit of the curly braces. For example, if I mention like this, then this is the scope of the block. This is the scope of the block. Okay. The first point, the variables which are declared inside the method and the structure are block local variables. The local variables are temporary variables. Uh, Before using the local variables, you have to initialize local variables. Next, last point, JVM will allocate the memory for the local variables at the time of method execution only. Once the method execution is completed, JVM will remove the local variables automatically. That's why local variables are called temporary variables. You got it about three variables. This is the types of variables, so don't confuse. Run with the types of variables. Okay, so starting the live.